Hey everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I want to just share a little Torah with you all. We're in Parashat Teitzei, which is distinguished as the Parsha, the Torah reading, with the most laws. It has 74 laws, and there are only 613, so that's a lot. That's a huge chunk of laws in Parashat Teitzei, and so it reads a little bit like big chunk of laws, which is like one after another, very dense, very intense reading, and sometimes not the most exciting. And I am always, every year I come to this line, and it seems to me maybe the least exciting in the entire Torah, and that is the line about the law about the guardrail. You know the law about the guardrail? Does anyone? If you don't, there is an entire law in the Torah devoted to building a fence around your roof so that people don't fall off. Ki tivnei bait chadash v'asita ma'akeh. It's called a ma'akeh, a little guardrail around the gagecha, around your roof. V'lo tasim damim b'beitecha ki yipol hanofel mimenu. You should build this fence around your roof so that you will not place blood in your house, because if someone is on your roof and they fall off, that'll be on you. Okay, I mean, it's like, safety first, and that sounds great, but it seems sort of unrelated to anything else. It's a little random. It doesn't seem that important. Like the Torah takes an entire verse to tell us about how to build a fence around your roof. Now, there is something here important that tells us about the Jewish social ethic, which is essentially communitarian, right? It's not about my rights and my property and my freedom. But rather, how might I care for you, even in ways that restrict me? So that's important, just as a general, and especially during this time of the coronavirus, is an important ethic to keep in mind. But I wanted something more. I wanted this verse to mean something more, so I began to pan out a little bit, and I went looking for, is there any other roof Torah? Is there any other, are there any other roofs in the Torah? And I went looking around, and in fact, there is one other roof in the Torah. Right? And you see me smile. You know how I like that. So anyone know what it is? I mean, this is not a medium where I can take answers, but if you have a guess, shout it out now. The one other mention of a roof in the Torah is back in the book of Exodus, and it is with the description of the Mizbach HaZahav, the golden altar, which was the altar upon which they didn't do animal sacrifice, they burned incense, sort of these fragrant incense offerings that would go up to God. And it says there that you shall cover that altar with pure gold, and like the regular altar, it's golden, its roof and its walls all around, and its horns, and you shall make for it a golden crown all around its roof. So that's the other roof. Now, it's interesting. It's an interesting connection. There's a similar language there of surrounding the roof. And, there is a way to read this forward, as if to say, imagine God saying, well, I've got a protective fence around my roof, so you do the same. And not just in that sort of silly way, but also God has all kinds of laws about what it takes to be safe in God's house. So you could read it forward. But I'm inclined to read this connection between the two roofs, the roof of your house and the roof of the altar, to read it backwards. And to say that it means that in some sense, our houses are like little altars. That there's something about our house that we're being told that our houses are sacred. And I think that's important Torah for right now, because we spend a lot of time in our houses these days. I know I do. So I think this connection between the house and the altar is one that maybe prompts us to ask, well, how do we make our houses sacred? If God's house is sacred, how do we make our houses sacred? Like I've been buying more flowers. And I've been hanging pictures. Right? I've been living in LA for 2 years and don't have any pictures. I'm trying to make my house feel like a more sacred place, a more holy place, a place that I want to dwell in. But more than that, I think we can ask, how are our houses like little altars? What are the offerings that are coming up from our house? Right? What are the letters that are being sent out, or the calls that are being sent out of our house, or the donations that are coming out of our house, or the prayers that are coming out of our house, like incense. Like what is that good energy that is rising up from our houses? We're in our houses, and sometimes we feel like we're stuck in our houses, we're trapped in our houses. But our houses can be these little beacons of holiness, and that's something that we can cultivate even during this time when we're stuck in this place. And just one last thought: the golden altar is also, we are told, purified once a year on Yom Kippur. The high priest goes into and purifies and cleanses the golden altar. So if there's a connection between those two houses, those two roofs, then maybe also there is once a year a time when we think about how we cleanse our house, not just clean our house, but cleanse our house, get a new energy going in our house, get a new kind of Holy Spirit coming into our house. So from my house to yours, let's bring that Holy Spirit in, and let's do it with the prayer of Lachadodi on page 23.